What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is I, Randy, with RTS Mobile Gaming, bringing you another fantastic Sea of Conquest video today. In today's video, we are taking a look at the brand spanking new Anti-Meta 5.0. This build is absolutely disgusting. It does even more damage than the previous Anti-Meta, if you can imagine that. And what you're witnessing here is me using some positioning, some chains, some speeds in order to get into a great spot, deal a ton of damage to my enemies while not dying. We are also going to move to the north here where there's several level 40, 42, and 44 enemies up. And now that we have all of our stacks up and our rage ready to dump, we're going to go ahead and just keep moving along. Don't let them catch up and gang up on me. Keep pacing them with positioning and dropping them with the damage from the Anti-Meta 5.0. We will also be talking in a moment about the sponsor for this content today, GemZ. Get excited. As you can see, we are now swapping to this fellow TPS level 40 up here. We are moving in. We are trying to retake this tower. There are 22 minutes left before we can basically lose this, so we're trying to get the reset in here. All right, we are moving up, moving in, and there is a lot of fighting here today. We are close to almost getting this tower freed up, but TBS is not going to let this go without a fight. As you can see, they keep speeding in. There's a level 42 coming back after getting wiped out, and they are going to be dealing a lot of damage, potentially killing me very soon. So that's always exciting to watch me die live on video. And then we'll talk momentarily, as I am now thinking about the sponsor for today's content. There is now an in-game pack purchasing event, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled around the anniversary for this game. There is a fantastic, unique in-game drowning skin for folks who were able to get it through the different in-game events. This thing is absolutely fantastic, dealing a ton of taking on water damage bonuses, really going to help you benefit if you're running a pure drowning combination. Now, if you are going to try and get these fantastic in-game rewards, such as the Grand Celebration packs, all the things that drop on the Wheel of Fortune, or trying to rank high enough in order to gain this fantastic epic skin, you are going to want to spend money in the game, which means you probably want to save money by using GemZ. Check the link in my description for their Discord below. They can save you anywhere from 15-20% on your in-game packs. Check the sales. They have a few brand new sales up for today. Check it out. Back to the content. All right, folks, we are now going to take a quick look at the actual performance of this build in some of those tower fights from yesterday. This is one report that I saved from that overall tower skirmish. Get excited. So here you can see we fought just under 1 billion total power. There were a lot of heavy hitters here, level 42 who we killed, a lot of other level 40s, high 30s. Okay, lots of powerful people here in this fight. It was a glorious fight. Here's another level 42 that we assassinated. And overall, the performance of this build works like this. You start shooting people, and then the artillery damage is so astoundingly insane that you just absolutely massacre the enemy's flagships, or whatever ships have high aggro. So this is sort of like Cutthroat, except we're leaning a little bit more into the artillery basic damage approach, okay? And we're utilizing the fact that Drowning now has dedicated drowning heroes that are really, really powerful. So, we'll start with the flagship performance here. We've taken Magnus off, and I've put Wanda in. While Magnus is amazing and has incredible constitution and defensive abilities, having Wanda in here is going to allow me to trigger more Ahab bubbles. It's going to allow me to trigger more Obi ultimates and actually reduce the damage that my flagship takes while redirecting a ton of damage to the flagship from my other ships, helping keep my fleet alive. So this is actually a combination I've been really enjoying over the past 3 days of testing, having Wanda on the flagship, okay? For the Fearless Princess, you're probably thinking to yourself, Randy, why is there no Warhammer here? And we'll talk about that in a second. But the Fearless Princess is here. Okay, we are running with Ophelia. We are using Chizuru, and we are using Keelanting. Okay, this is going to be a decent damage output ship, but in reality, it does not quite hold a candle up to your main artillery damage build, but it is a decent damage alternative. The reason why we don't have the Warhammer in here is because we are using some of the Warhammer heroes to boost to other builds, which we'll talk about right now. So you are probably well aware of how insanely powerful the new Drowning hero combinations are. With the new Hammer Conquest and the new Titus Slade combined with Adeline, they give so much incredible synergy, it is absolutely insane. And in most builds, they are the top damage dealers in the build with Drowning. However, I've been able to take some of the Cutthroat heroes and repurpose them onto different ships in order to make 2 other ships back into the limelight. In fact, one of them has never really been featured in an anti-meta video as the main damage dealer. So that's really exciting for me. So we've dissolved the Warhammer combination, okay, and we've made 2 new combinations that out-damage this drowning comp, which is insane. I have a maxed out Adeline with a maxed out trinket. Hamar Tornquist, as I said in his video, is able to compete with her on damage, and here you're seeing it in real time, okay? But when we actually look at the next damage builds here, we'll start with the strategic. We are back to the Griffin, Onimusha, Letitia Miller combination that you saw in Season 3. This is one of the anti-meta builds we were doing in Season 3 towards the start with Onimusha on the strategic ship, and it's really, really powerful because it causes Griffin to do a tremendous amount of damage when he lands his double ultimates with crits. This ship is running a high crit damage build. Having Onimusha in here is really going to up the ante and allow Griffin and Letitia Miller to do much more damage. Then we take a look at, and I know I'm getting to the artillery ship last because that one is the sweet spot, okay? Then we're going to take a look at the burning ship. Lester Tanaka, okay, with Cordelia on it. Now, there isn't really a great gunner position for this ship. However, having Cordelia in here with her heal trinket, having Lester and Tanaka here as a good duo, it's a great combination of tankiness, damage output, and it lets me use the Fury of the Storm set on this ship, meaning that my burning damage over time effects are reducing the enemy armor of the enemy fleet. So after about 10 seconds, 15 seconds into the fight, most of the enemy fleet is going to be at minus 15, minus 20, minus 25% armor on their ships, and it's going to stay up. They're going to keep those stacks up because they apply so many stacks of burning. Okay, and finally, let's take a look, ladies and gentlemen, at the reason you tuned in to today's video. The Anti-Meta 5.0 mission statement is the new and improved artillery monster massacring, pew pew pew, baby eating, whatever other terrible thing you want to say. This ship does it. matey, it is a pirate ship. And it has Bones, it has Sharky, and it has Ricky on board. And oh my goodness, if you thought that Bones, Onimusha Adeline was solid with the Anti-Meta 4.0, I'm here to tell you that the Bones, Sharky, Ricky combo is even better. It is crazy, okay? We'll take a quick look really quick at 1 or 2 other reports. I'm just going to show you the damage spreads on these so you can appreciate how the damage was happening once the report loads. This is another one where I died, but it was some great combat. We were, I believe, defending a port against TBS here. I hit this guy at the start, just a rage build, so sorry to Louisa for punching you in the face before I hard swapped to TBS. And once this loads, I'm going to show you the damage breakdown. So this is really exciting. So look at this, guys. This is a little bit of a larger report. And again, this is another report where I died. In both of these reports, I died. And I think that's the best way to show you these builds, is to show you them under heavy stress, not just hitting auto traders. So in this build, you can see the artillery build did massively more damage than any other ship on the field by a tremendous amount. It wasn't even close. The Orichi, again, coming up in second place here with that Onimusha combination, doing great work, okay? And the Drowning ship still doing great work. However, it is using a Sovereign of the Sea ship set on it, so that is lowering its damage when you compare it to the 2 Blade of Freedom ship part sets on the Orichi and the Goddess Sichi, okay? All right, now that we've seen these reports, let's go ahead and do a quick skim of the actual trinkets and ship parts on these ships now that we've talked through the heroes and the functionality. All right, folks, so into the trinkets, we have a steering wheel, we have the Obi trinket, and we have the Eagle Shield, along as Sacred Guardian ship sets on the flagship. For the Fearless Princess, we are running something interesting here. We're running 2-piece, because this ship actually takes a lot of damage. It has no aggro reduction. It doesn't have any inherent tankiness. It takes a lot of damage. So we are running with 2-piece Fury, 2-piece Guardian of the Storm to give myself some HP, as well as a lot of attack power. And we are running with Chizuru using the Obi trinket. Because she's using an Obi trinket, it's going to lower the overall damage of the ship by a little bit, but it's going to massively increase the tankiness of this ship. And every time the ship does basic damage, which is a basic attack, of which both Ophelia, Chizuru, and Keelanting triggered bonus basic attacks on this ship, and has a chance to activate a shield equal to a portion of the ship's armor. Since we're running 2-piece tank set and we're running an armor trinket, we have incredible armor on here. When you multiply this by 6, we are looking at tremendous shielding that stacks 3 times, okay? The Orichi, we are using Griffin's trinket. This is best in slot for Griffin typically. You will get more rage regen with a bones trinket over Griffin, but Griffin's actual damage from this trinket is nasty. Because you have reduced aggro on Griffin from his level 4, his 4-star skill here, you can use Blade of Freedom on this ship and go full glass cannon. Okay? The crit stats on this ship look like the following: 116% crit rate and 329.7% crit damage. So when he does drop a crit on your face, you absolutely feel it. Okay? Into the Goddess Ajit. So this is interesting. Previously, the Goddess Ajit you had to really mess around with and put some tanky stuff on. The Goddess typically takes damage before most of your other ships. However, since we have Bones on board, reducing the aggro of his ship by 20, you are no longer going to be focus fired at the start of the fight. You may end up getting focus fired as the fight goes on and you start to pull more aggro. However, because we have reduced aggro, we can go glass cannon on this ship as well and run full crit rate, crit damage, okay? Here we're at 144.9% crit rate with 295% crit damage. So a little bit lower crit damage than the Bones, than the Griffin combination because Onimusha is giving so much crit damage, all right? But this combination works tremendously. In addition, the 2 skills I highly recommend, you either use New Age Ammunition or you use Reluctant to Fall Behind. Both of these are going to be tremendously powerful, and both are very useful, okay? But in general, Bones is going to apply all of the rage regen that he has from his skill, okay, to this Sharky and Ricky combo. So now you have an artillery ship that has a captain that gives a tremendous amount of rage regen to 2 of the heroes that do the most damage in the game, being Sharky and Ricky. So it's a really great combination. They feed well off each other, and because the ship itself does bonus damage every time you do 8 artillery damage instances, this snowballs right along with this build. So as Bones increases the amount of ultimates that Ricky and Sharky do, the ship is doing more basic attacks, which is doing more splash damage. And if you do start to go down in HP, defensively offensive will help you stay alive. Okay? So those are 2 recommended skills for this setup. Into the Stormbringer, and you can see this ship is not a slouch. This ship is using a fantastic maxed out Adeline, a 10-star Titus, a 6-star Hammer Tornquist. Adeline's trinket is fully maxed out. It does amazing damage. And we are using a Sovereign of the Sea ship set, okay? And this is because I want to be extra tanky, because this ship does not have a way to lower its own aggro. Since this ship does not lower its aggro, it very often takes damage at the start of fights. It takes damage when an enemy first locks onto you before you have aggro generation affecting who they're targeting. Okay, so when an enemy first locks into you, there's a good chance their first couple shots are going to hit the Stormbringer. They're either going to hit the Stormbringer or they're going to hit the Fearless Princess, which is why both of these ships are using semi-tank sets, okay? Now, this ship is leaning very heavily into actual percentage damage bonuses, so it has a little bit lower crit damage and attack than what you might be looking for. It's at 103% crit rate, 288 crit damage, a little bit crit resistance from the Sovereign set. But here's where it really shines, 107% drowning damage. So while a strategic damage ship has a little bit more crit damage and higher attack, the Taking on Water ship does more damage bonus in addition to those stats that you see in the service level. So it's very tanky, still does pretty solid damage. And if you really want, you can put Fury of the Storm on this ship and it will wipe people out, but this ship will be dying very quickly in all your engagements. So just keep that in mind. You can go as glass cannon on that ship as you want. Okay, the reason why my Fury of the Storm is on the Crimson Sentinel here is because, as we talked about before, since I have Cordelia in this ship, she is able to boost the constitution of this ship, making it a little bit tankier, allowing me to go a little bit more glass cannon. I'm also only using 2 damage heroes on this ship instead of 3. That means that I'm going to get less aggro generation because I'm doing less damage overall, especially at the start of fights. So I really haven't had a problem with the Crimson Sentinel dying first. I don't know. It very rarely does it die first, almost never. And because of that, I'm able to really get all these stacking damage over time effects really at max effectiveness while reducing the enemy armor from my Fury of the Storm set. All right. These are the optimal setups. However, you can go back through. This is the asterisk if you're sort of a medium to low spending player. Okay. You can get this stuff done with just a purple attack trinket instead of Lion's Roar. That is totally fine. You can go ahead and put on full Sovereign on the Fearless Princess instead of 2-piece Sovereign, 2-piece Fury of the Storm. Okay, full Sovereign on this ship will be great. Also, so will Queen's Revenge. Queen of Revenge is going to give you fantastic tankiness by reducing the damage you take by 15%. And it'll give a lot of artillery damage bonus to Chizuru and Key Landing. In addition, if you are using Queen of Revenge, that means you are going to be using a crit rate figurehead most likely. If you're using crit rate figurehead, you can actually take the crit rate trinket off Ophelia and put on Ophelia's trinket to give yourself more artillery damage nukes from Chizuru. All right. The trinkets on the Orichi are really best in slot. You can replace these with just one crit trinket and maybe a couple attack trinkets. You could also change the figurehead to be crit rate instead of crit damage, which is going to mean that you can drop all of the crit rate trinkets. All right, and that's really, really key to talk about. And then artillery. Again, the crit rate trinkets are going to be best in slot, but you can, through ship parts and gems, get to a place where you're over 100% crit rate without any crit trinkets. Now, since you can get over 100% crit rate without any crit trinkets, it does not hurt you to put on attack trinkets instead. Maybe you have the purple, maybe you have some of the purple attack trinkets that you want to put on instead, right? The Tyrant's Hand, those will be just fine. It's about getting high damage stats to multiply against your crit. So either get crit damage or get attack. Both of them will be multiplied nicely, so get excited, okay? And one last thing I want to talk about here. If you don't have Hammer Tornquist and Titus Slade, that is fine. You can still get away, and I'm running this on my free-to-play account, actually. I'm running a 3-star Barnacle, and I'm running a 2-star Titus Slade that I got from Throwing Knives. And that combination still does solid damage, so obviously the higher power your heroes are, the better. Titus Slade is going to be best in slot for a Drowning First Mate, so I do highly recommend you try your best to save up 30 or 40 knives, throw them on the Titus Slade event, and land Titus Slade. But Eileen is also a strong hero if you don't have Titus yet. Eileen also does decent damage. She applies a lot of taking on water debuffs, okay? And she has a chance to trigger taking on water debuffs when her ship launches a basic attack. Very similar to Titus Slade, although his is a little bit stronger. It's a higher percentage chance to land without the cooldown. So Eileen can be a good replacement. If you want Barnacle, Eileen, Adeline, you can make that work as well. All right, so if you guys have enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. Anti-Meta 5.0, ladies and gentlemen, Randy out.